I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Hello and welcome to late night coverage of the Saville Grand Prix here for Curling Stadium. I'm Ed Scimia. I'm here with Shawn and Joyce tonight. We've got a great matchup with two of the top women's teams out of Japan facing off in the final round robin draw here. It'll be Satsuki Fujisawa against Momoha Tabata. What do you know of these teams, Shawn?
Well, yeah, I had a chance to see both of these teams this year, and I saw Tabata play a game earlier on in this event. Both solid teams. You expect that with a lot of the teams coming out of, well, not just Japan, but a lot of the teams coming out of the Asian market. When they get over here, you know they're going to be strong technically, and they're getting better and better at the tactics all the time. And we've seen a lot of these women's teams, especially, making the playoffs at events throughout Western Canada already early in this season. So I expect a strong game here. It really matters to these teams. Ed, you and I did a men's game this afternoon, and we were looking at all the possible combinations for the playoffs, and I think it ended up with 6 teams tied at 2 wins, and I don't know how that's going to play out. It's a different scenario here in the women's. 22 teams started play. There are 7 teams right now sitting at 3 wins. There are 3 more teams at 2-1 going into this last draw. Momoha Tabata is one of those teams. She needs a win here. If all 3 of the teams at 2-1 win this game, there are going to be some tiebreakers. Some teams at 3-1 are going to go home after losing tiebreakers. If all 3 of the teams at 2-1 lose, then it opens up the possibility of a huge logjam for one playoff spot at 2-2. So big game here for both teams, really, because Fujisawa at 1 and 2, one of those teams that they need the win. They need a little bit of help, and then we'll have to see where the tiebreakers sit.
Yeah, and Fujisawa would be taking care of one of those 3 teams just by winning this game, which helps their odds a little bit here. Yeah,
the other 2, sure. If anybody cares, Carrie Anderson is at 2-1. She's playing against Caitlin Laws at 3-0. And Michelle Hartwell from Edmonton, so this may well be her home club. I'm not familiar with that team. They're 2-1 as well, and I think playing Delaney Strauss. I don't have all the scores in front of me, but so those 3 teams all coming in with a record of 2-1, and you have to think you need the 3. You need the win. It's pretty unlikely that all 3 of them are going to lose, and even if they did, then you're into a logjam of a tiebreaker.
Yeah, for sure. And we're talking over this end a little bit. So far, very clean, barring a mistake here, but which does happen. But unless there is a miss or a hit and stick that sits outside the rings, I think we're headed to a quiet start to this game. Let's say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with that rollout on the last one. You're going to see the corner guard attempt come up here, and I don't know whether Tabata will be inclined to peel a corner guard in the first end.
Yeah, you never know. You could still play to try to force. Be interesting to see. It is pretty much a free corner guard, absolutely no risk. So of course that's what you're going to throw, and she runs right up to peel it. So
got it pretty tight to the rings. You can play the hit on that and roll in.
Yeah.
Ten sheets here at the Saville Center, 22 teams on the women's side. So all of the sheets in play. 2 teams actually have finished their round robin already. Ikui Kitazawa in Pool B has a record of 3-1. She's atop the pool right now. Tabata is sitting at 2-1. She's second place in the pool. And there must be one other team that's completed the round robin. There it is. It's Sunyeon Ha in Pool A, also at 3-1. Now Yoonjung Kim is at 3-0 in that pool. on the ice tonight.
Yeah, the Kim team very strong. Both of those Korean teams very strong. A third team, of course, not here, was at the Pan-Continental and the Gimrink, which just came up short of winning gold. Had a great game against Rachel Holman today. We do see that we had a guard left when Tabata looked to make that quick peel on the corner guard. So now Fujisawa was going around, and it's the commentator's jinx, right? We said it was going to be a quiet end, and now suddenly there's a chance for a deuce in play if this run back isn't made.
Boy, not only is it made, but she leaves it stuck behind cover.
Yes.
Miku Nuhara. Boy, not only is it made.
Looking like, for a while at least, like a likely blank. That's still on the table too. We don't have that much in play, but we definitely have an end to talk about now, Shawn.
Yeah, well, that's always the danger when you come around the opposition's guard, and all of these teams, both the men's and the women's, they play those run backs so often. They've gotten very good at it. It's almost to the point where, in fact, we'll see some teams if they make that run back and don't stick it, they're upset, and those those shots aren't as easy as they make them look.
Certainly not as. Got a little bounce there, which is really going to put the force into play now because Yellow will be likely sitting 2 after if they can get behind that guard. It'll take away any real double opportunity. And yeah.
They didn't mind the tap. They would have liked to have gotten a little closer to the nose so they didn't roll over and allow this hit attempt.
All right, we're hearing a cat. We're going to have to put the cat away after this end. Glaskian. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we had the hit. Did pop out a little bit on the other side, but
that rolled a little too far because it does leave room to get the corner freeze on there. They would have liked to take away the path to the backstone, I think. This still has to be made, but I mean, you're fairly risk-free with last rock trying to come around the corner guard.
Yeah, that's the thing about all of this. No matter what Tabata gets to do here, we're not really threatening a steal because the center of the ice is wide open. So the downside for Fujisawa is getting forced, barring a very catastrophic miss at the end of the end.
Tsunami Yoshida was actually following them down the whole way, and it you could see her signaling this has got a ton of room, and the weight's great. Like, she's front 8 foot, but it just barely got a sliver under the guard.
Yeah, even if it just gets over 2 or 3 inches more, it's a very effective shot. But here you can probably get by there. Nice low weight. I mean, they're worried because
you can. It's not a gimme.
Outside it all year.
Yeah, exactly.
You definitely jam it. It's not a badly placed rock, but very close to being almost impossible to remove.
Buck made a pretty quick decision how she was going to play at this, and you see now as she's gotten down to the hacks, she's a little bit more hesitant. It looks like she can just see the edge of the rock.
Yeah, I was thinking either she can or just barely can't, and there is quite a bit of room there.
They've
Pass
changed it.
guards.
She's playing the run. Look at, she's got the into.
Okay. And makes it, leaving 2 on the rings. Would have liked to have stuck that one for.
Well, and she touched that yellow
it's not.
again as over the top,
Yeah.
so it's again left a pocket for a freeze, a bit of a pocket. She can corner freeze either one of those stones, be shot rock.
Yeah. We have Satsuki Fujisawa getting ready to throw her first rock, and yeah, you get this in there, you get it into that little pocket there, as long as you don't leave it in a place where it's removable from the outside, then real good shot at 2 again here. 2 nice with 1 nice shot.
Ideally, I think you want to corner freeze the top one. You
I agree.
corner freeze the back one. She can probably hit. She can see the Yellowstone out past the corner guard. She can hit the outside of it and probably kick the red all the way across the house. Now she might lose everything doing that. And you might be back to a blank. That's not the end of the world either. But boy, I think if you could corner freeze that top yellow one, it's going to be really hard for Tabata not to give up 2 here. This is getting real tight to the guard, though.
Can they get it by? No, just catches the guard. Which actually moves the guard over closer to those yellows as well. And it doesn't really matter now. You're playing for 1 in most scenarios, provided something ends up in the house here on Tabata's last shot. The red rock did end up in a little bit of an unfortunate place. I mean, you're going to have access to the button no matter what, but now Tabata can bury something on the forefoot and make it a little bit of a challenge at least.
She could certainly shrink that scoring area.
Yeah.
In theory, like if you got right to the tee line here, you could even bite a sliver of the button. You'd show her about half a rock, but can she afford to throw the weight to go after it? So,
right.
Certainly you're going to have the chance for the force, but you could put some big pressure on with a good draw here.
No, Tabata's final shot of the end without hammer. Trying to draw behind that red rock in the top 12. Looks like it's still got quite a bit of room here to get by.
Yeah, I might have stopped sweeping that. If you weren't going to get buried on the forefoot, you might have wanted to leave that high enough that she couldn't hit it on the nose and be shot.
I was thinking the same thing. She may or may not be able to, because but you would need maybe an inch of roll back to the center at worst. Yeah, if you leave it 6 inches higher, a hit gives up 2 probably.
Well, and then she's got to draw wider still because she's still got to go around it. She's still only got half the forefoot. Right. Granted, all she has to do is make sure she gets by that stone, but still, it's
well, in the first end, hardly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As is the case always in these events, they have a practice session before the game, and it's draw to the button to determine who's got last rock. But we don't know which team had first practice, which team had second practice. We also don't know which side of the sheet each team threw on. So maybe Fujisawa would be comfortable throwing that wide out turn draw. Maybe she wouldn't. Maybe she hasn't played that side of the sheet. As it is, she's going to have the chance for the hit. I think you're right, Ed. I think she needs a little bit of a roll to the broom side. But you play the hit, it's the safer shot. If you ever happen to hit it right on the nose, you're only giving up 1. And when you're facing 3, you probably want to err on the side of not giving up the multiple.
Oh, certainly, especially in a nothing game first end. You're not going to be too upset if you end up giving 1 here.
Yeah, because
Satsuki. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
If you try to draw against 3 because of where the 3 are and something goes wrong, you're either scoring 1 or you're probably giving up 3. But they're not very far apart that you could likely just miss the draw and be in between the 2 of them.
Fujisawa a little wide here. Could get a roll out. And does roll out to give up 2. It'll be a steal of 2 for Tabata in the first end. After 1, 2-0 Team Tabata here at the Saville Grand Prix.
What do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Welcome back to the second end here at the Saville Grand Prix, final women's draw of the round robin portion of this tournament. We've got Momoha Tabata up 2-0 over Satsuki Fujisawa. And yeah, just an unfortunate miss on Fujisawa's last in the first end.
Yeah, and one of the other things that we haven't talked about with the draw, they are the team here that might be with a little bit of fatigue, just the luck of the draw. They actually just got off the ice. They played the 4 o'clock draw this afternoon, 4:30 I guess was the start. And unfortunately for them, they lost that game. Had they won, they would be in the same position as Tabata. It would be a winner goes to 3 wins and leaves himself in a pretty good spot. With that loss, they desperately need to win here, and they're going to need help. So not the start they were looking for.
Yeah, no, not at all. And we see right away a change in tactics for the second end, down to even this early, playing much more aggressively, putting up that corner guard right away, letting Tabata set up a center, and we're going to try to get right back in here with a deuce if we can with the hammer.
Hard for us not to scoreboard watch, I will tell you right now. Again, 7 teams at 3 wins or better. There are 3 teams going into this draw with a record of 2-1. All 3 of those teams scored in the first end. So we get to scoreboard watch for 8 ends here.
Yeah, we had the same situation in the men's draw earlier. Not the exact same, but the same idea, where there were some key games and the scoring mattered to the teams playing in the draw in the game we were watching. So that was Fujisawa lead. Yukiya Yoshida there. Looked like they were playing, trying to play the hit and roll behind their corner guard. Just got the straight hit. Can't quite get that roll to get a little farther behind the center guard, but effective nonetheless. They'll have the same shot, the same opportunity here with Fujisawa.
Yeah. Couldn't have thrown that much quieter. Like, they just got it through the back as it was and just didn't get quite enough finish to get under. That is something you'll see a lot on shots like this. You'll see them sweep with the inside sweeper until they're sure it's by, then switch for that last little bit of curl. And we've seen that a lot here at Saville Center. there's good late movement, so they can have an effect on those rocks that way. Fujisawa team would probably prefer to roll to the corner if they could.
Yeah, that's what they tried on the last shot. Just didn't
really
get there.
close.
This one. And yeah, if anything, got a little too much roll, but a nice shot nonetheless.
Yeah, it's never bad to over-roll on a shot like that, though, when you've got last rock, because if Tabata makes a play on it, she can't roll towards the middle, and now you're going to have a draw on your next one no matter what. So over-rolls are always better than the under-roll. Tabata's looking at the chase. That's a little dangerous, trying to chase around the corner guard.
Yeah, it looked like, looking to almost come down there and sit on it was the call before we switched to the view of the delivery here. So not sure if they stuck with that, but it looks like maybe they're peeling the guard. That's a lot more
Trying
weight.
the double, I think.
Yeah. It will just be a straight peel.
So for now, Fujisawa's going to look to put the corner guard back, it looks like. This gets interesting to me because it's a game of cat and mouse, right? She could come around the center guard. She just probably doesn't want to do it this early. But you may see her at some point in time switch gears here. She'll come around the center guard. When Tabata hits the open one, she may ignore it again, come around the center and try to get three.
Absolutely. And as you said, it is a bit of a game of cat and mouse because at some point, Tabata will stop peeling the guard and just go around the center.
Yeah, if you do it
so it's a matter
too
of,
early, she's got too many chances to deal with the ones in the middle. You do it exactly too late, and she switches gears herself. But you have to cover, and this hung out. She's left her most of that rock, plus the double is a little easier now because they're closer together.
Yeah, and I think you're still going to play the double. You don't want to leave the corner guard there. And just as with the last shot, even though you have more of it now, they might play this. You're not getting much out of your rock if you play the straight hit. You can't roll back to the center as you mentioned on the last shot. And it looks like they switched the handle there. They are going to play the double again.
Yeah. If you really have a good run at this and you're kind of greedy, I think you could almost make the double and roll into the 12-foot somewhere.
Probably could.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Yeah, left it under guard. So now Fujisawa has a rock under guard and two guards to play with. Now the decision is how are you going to play for your big end?
She's going open side. I think part of this is because that's a yellow guard in front of the red. She's throwing this to the open because the open hit's going to be easier. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to leave that short run back and force her to play it because if she makes it, her end's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. If you come around the center guard now, in fact, there are two short runs off that you're going to peel the corner guard. I say peel, but I mean, you're running it, and you can run it straight. You can run it into the one that you've thrown behind the center guard.
Yeah,
it's. I mean, you're going to have so many options to remove a rock and get rid of that corner guard. Yeah.
And this is
throwing
an
it open side.
call,
You're tempting him into. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is an interesting call, but it's you can see what she's thinking here. You play this to the open side. Can your opponent really ignore an open stone to try a run back? Because run backs aren't a gimme. This has to stop in the rings, though.
It must stay on the rings, and it does not. And yeah, you're absolutely right that this early in the game with a 2-point lead, if there's an open rock there, you're going to hit it. You don't want the end to get out of control. Now there's a chance if they make a run back, and you're going to be working to score it all.
Yeah, had you stopped that rock in the rings, even in the back, actually the back might have been preferable. You stop that in the back 12 foot, she hits it on the nose, you could freeze to it. And now you've got one guarded and one frozen. And what's she going to play? You've, without taking too much risk, makes the run back, but it rolls out. 3 stones left to 2. This is, back to even before the free guard zone. This is where you'd come around the center and try to score your 2.
Yeah.
I understand what she's thinking and trying to come around the corner. You don't want to play in the middle, but if you make this good, it's going to be a very short run back.
Right. Yeah, even if the corner guard's a little higher, you're getting late in the end, and they might just play back to the center anyway. I mean, you're introducing risk at that point. But in this case, as you said, that tight guard is likely just to get run right back even if you bury this straight.
Yeah, and you come around the center, you could be full top 8, and it's a much more difficult run back.
Mm-hmm.
This has got a lot of room. It's curling. It's trying.
Now, can they get this buried? They are going to get a piece under, but it will be accessible. We'll see if they want to go directly after it. I think they will, based on that line. From the hack, you're going to have 90% of that rock, probably. Maybe a little less than that, but most of the rock with the opportunity to, roll back to the center, bring the play to the forefoot. First skips rock on its way from Momoha Tabata. Looking to just chip this red out and roll back to center.
A lot of rotation. That'll help hold it straight.
And should get some action too. Leaves it back 8 but open. But they got what they wanted, which was to bring the play back to the center. And if Fujisawa wants to play for, and I don't think they are, they're going to try to, set up a blank here. You'd have to roll by in the corner guard, not the center guard.
You'd have to draw.
If
you wanted to score here, you'd have to.
You're actually making, that's a much better point. You'd have to, you just have to draw the play for 2.
Which you could. I mean, you could come around
Absolutely.
that center guard, bite the top of the forefoot. You could. I don't think too many people would do it in the second end, but anything you're playing in the hit in the back, you're thinking blank end here, because
absolutely, if
you bury it perfectly on the roll, you're going to see Tabata play the freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Now, conversely, Tabata will try to bury this to get the force.
Yeah, absolutely. Get a good. If you can completely bury this, it's going to make it, even with a little bit of swing on the ice, extremely difficult, I would imagine.
Yeah, risky to try to blank. Even if you get this like half behind, it makes the blank attempt a lot trickier.
For sure. It is a fairly high center guard. I mean, if you have some accessible, I wouldn't be surprised if she still tries the blank. But yeah, definitely.
Oh, I agree. But as soon as you put it into their eye, it makes it trickier. Puts
for sure
potential rub into their mind, and that can influence a throw.
Final rock of the end without hammer away from Momoha Tabata. Just looking to get under the guard.
I don't speak Japanese, but when you see that hand up in the air like that, that's pretty universal. It meant they threw more weight than they intended.
Yes. Well, that does leave the rock completely open, which means Tabata.
Well,
just looking to get under the guard.
I don't speak Japanese, but when you see that hand up in the air like that, that's pretty universal. It meant they threw more.
Final rock of the end, Satsuki Fujisawa looking to blank the end and take us to end 3. And the attempt is successful. That leaves the score 2-0 in favor of Team Tabata, blanking the second end. We'll be headed to the third end at the Saville Grand Prix after this break.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Welcome back to Saville. We're here in the third end of the final draw of the women's round robin. So far, Team Tabata up 2-0 over Team Fujisawa. We had a blank in the second end. What do you expect to see here in the third, Shawn?
Well, I'm not sure how to answer that because honestly, I would expect to see the Fujisawa team play a little bit more aggressively. They need the win here, but they've really played a little bit more defensively than I would have expected them to. Like, they had a chance to try to set up the deuce around the middle that time. They played to come around the corner, which left the short run. And they didn't get it buried, so they ended up playing at it directly, but I'm surprised she went that direction in the first place. We'll see at what point in time she feels she has to start playing a little bit more aggressively here. It's interesting. She needs to win, but she needs some help. We're going to scoreboard watch because we can do that. All three of the teams that come into this draw with a record of 2-1 are all ahead 2-0 as we play in the third. So if that holds, there's nothing Fujisawa can do. But if she's able to win this game, she needs help from the two other teams for sure. And then we'll have to see where the chips fall as far as the draw to the button tiebreakers. But the other side of that, Tabata has an opportunity, I think. I've just got to look to see who they played already because they come in with a record of 2-1, but the team leading their pool is already done. They're at 3-1. No, she did lose to her, so she cannot win the pool. The best she can do is finish second in the pool, and then she could be in that logjam at 3 wins.
Yeah, so a lot to play for both teams, particularly Tabata. But yeah, Fujisawa, some scoreboard watching to do, but does not know that they're definitely out going into this game. So, gotta still be motivated to win for sure.
3 wins is not guaranteed to make the playoffs. On the other hand, 2 losses is not guaranteed to be eliminated yet. So a lot can happen in the next hour and a half.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll learn a lot as we get late into some of these games and see where the cut line, so to say, will be.
Yeah,
That's
it's a good way to
bouncing
phrase it.
around a bit. Yeah. And as you said, yeah, Fujisawa not playing ultra aggressive, not had certainly moved after the steal of 2 to playing with sort of a controlled aggression, starting with the corner guard. But we'll see if they really want to push the envelope a bit here as we move into the middle ends. The 8-end games end quicker than you think. And we saw the Fujisawa team try to take that rock that just drifted into the top 12, hit and roll behind their corner guard, instead left a corner-ish guard. Didn't get quite the roll they wanted, and Tabata going to go back to throwing their center guard on that rock that's covering the pin again.
That stone that was just thrown, though, was only the 5th stone at the end. If we were later in the end, Tabata might have hit that red stone. It's in a dangerous spot. It's a good rock for Fujisawa, but in the 5-rock free guard zone, you can't hit that just yet.
Absolutely.
Now we're on rock number 6, and it looks like Fujisawa looking at maybe playing the guard off.
Yeah, maybe you'd expect that guard to be run at some point, and both teams knowing that. You don't have to play it right away, though. As you said, if you run this guard off, that shot will still be there for you. Although actually we're we're jamming it right on our rock.
I think she was trying the run back. I don't think she was trying the double peel over the top. That just looked like she set the release a little bit.
Okay.
And she ends up jamming it onto her own. I think she was trying to play that straight back double the yellows and leave some reds out front.
Well, I imagine you're right. I think either you have
the
to make the run
other
back
option
or
is you play
peel the yellow.
You could play
red.
you could play the peel over the top of the red and try to bring it into the house, but it didn't look like that's what they were playing.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, my point was going to be if you ever straight peel the yellow and leave that red there, you're leaving 2 ways to get at the yellow rock on the button.
Yeah, that's not horrible either.
Yeah. But we're going to end up with a pretty strong yellow center here.
Now with it being 2 yellows, she might play over the top, try to get all 3 yellows. But I don't think she was playing that with the red a moment ago. That's what she's looking at now, though. That was that angle gesture with the broom. She wants the yellow over the top of the yellow tight to the rings, try to bring it more or less straight back. Even if you don't kill the one on the button, even if you just jam onto it and maybe spill it off the button a couple of feet would be, much better than it is right now.
Can they at least get 2 of them out? No straight peel over the top, leaving that one guard there. And we can expect Tabata to just put back another center guard.
Yeah, she's got a rock on the button now. She doesn't really have to do anything other than just keep covering it and wait for the Fujisawa team to make something.
Yeah, at minimum, it's going to take a double peel for Fujisawa to really feel like they're back in this end at some point.
Yep. It's interesting to me that Yoshida stayed down after the last shot. I wonder if they're not talking about their options here a little bit. That Yellowstone is right on the tee line. You could definitely get to it with enough weight to move it back, say, a foot and a half, and sit shot rock.
Yeah, you are getting later in the end, too. You're going to have to do something different at some point, although, as we were just saying, on this rock, you make the double peel or you send everything back, you are in much better shape still.
Well, and that hasn't been the type of shot that it looks like they wanted to play so far in this game, but at some point in time, you're going to have to make a decision. This guard probably came a little tighter. If it was higher up, they might have taken a look at this.
Yeah, this could be the run. Yeah. gets the run back, removes the rock from the pin, but leaves a center guard of their own, which will give Tabata the chance to draw around again. Kind of set the same situation, only with a red rock out there.
It does, but it's still, I mean, she can't make a better draw than the one they just took out of the house. So
exactly,
it's not the end of the world that you left the guard out there.
No, you are making them make a difficult shot if they're going to put something up that was as good or close to as good.
Yeah, the best she could ever do is just as good. She could never make it better. So
right, exactly. And she does make it nearly as good. That's a really good spot to leave it in fact. Takes away any real opportunity for a tap back like we were talking about before. It's overburied and just a little bit higher.
Probably playing the triple again, I would think here. Red over the top of the yellow and back into the house. It's close.
Didn't quite get the triple, did get the double peel though. That certainly simplifies the situation a little bit as we head into skip rocks.
Well, and over the course of the last three, at least Fujisawa knows she's going to have a shot to score. I mean, albeit she might have to draw to half of the button. She didn't have that before the run back. And now when it's just one guard, this has to be a little bit more precise on the line. I mean, there's so much curl here. If you leave her a quarter, she can get to half and stick her shooter somewhere. You need to deadline this up.
Yeah, you half cover this on the wrong side and suddenly two's back in the play.
Well, yeah, you're right. Yet half cover either side, she's going to be able to at least get back to the blank. But you're right, if this over curls a bit, you could leave her the roll behind the corner guard. They have not touched this. I think they need it to stop.
A little deep end, a little over curling. Line will be okay, but definitely a double here. And a very makeable one now with that rock settling all the way into the 12-foot.
Yeah, you make the double here. It's nose probably makes it with enough weight or just a sliver low. You may not have to throw your last one for the blank because it's going to be a tricky shot for Tabata to hit and roll into the rings if you make this double. You're only going to be just barely biting the 12-foot.
And well executed there, right on the nose. And as you said, that rock is less than halfway into the 12-foot, so you're gonna need to hit it. And well executed there, right on the nose. And as
rolls out easy the way she hits it. And the tricky part now, if you're trying to roll into the rings, it's easier to roll to the wide side away from the corner guard because that stone's just past the center line and you got more room to roll to get into the rings. She'd like to roll behind the corner guard, but it's just debatable whether or not you get into the rings off that. You'd certainly have to throw it quiet to try to hit it a little bit thinner. They talked about both. I'm not sure what they've settled on. If she's throwing the out turn, I got to think she's rolling to the wide side.
We'll certainly find out in a second. Momoha Tabata's final rock of the end without hammer coming in.
That'd be really tough.
And hopefully stick around, but it should.
It would have been really tough to roll behind the corner guard with the out turn, so she opts to go to the wider side. And it was easier to roll in that way just because the stone she was hitting was off center the other way. She had more room to go. anything on the high side here blanks it.
Yes.
Doesn't have to roll all the way to the board.
You don't have to roll very far. No. Anything on the high side, can't end up in the rings. So we'll see. We'll see Satsuki Fujisawa here playing for the blank on the final rock of the third end. Looks like it's right there, as you said, on the high side. Can't go in the rings. That'll leave the score 2-0 Tabata after 3 ends. We've got 2 straight blanks. And we're headed to the fourth with Fujisawa holding on to the hammer.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread.
All right, back here at the Saville Grand Prix, final round robin draw in the women's side of the event. And it's still 2-0 Tabata over Fujisawa in this battle of 2 of the top Japanese teams on tour. And, Fujisawa is going to have to score at some point. You think they get more aggressive here in the fourth end, Shawn?
You would like to think so, and that's for a couple of reasons. You see a lot of teams, men's and women's both, it really doesn't seem to matter. They do prefer to play more aggressively when they get into the even ends. And for the Fujisawa team, again, it's a must-win to have any hope at all of making the playoffs. They're down 2. They've got last rock here. They did get the corner guard up. You'd like to see them, do something here to try to get their deuce. Oh boy, that just stopped in time. Yeah. If that bites the 12-foot, that changes this call.
Oh, absolutely, because last end they had one that slipped. Their second one slipped into the top 12, and Fujisawa called the little, the soft hit and roll.
Well,
didn't quite get it, but yeah.
If that bites,
left the guard up at least.
Almost could have played the double and rolling behind the corner if that bites.
Yeah. Instead, straight coming around the guard here with hammer.
Yeah, needs to try to get her deuce here and needs to try to do it soon, because if you're going to flip the hammer, then that's an expression that goes back a lot of years, even before the free guard zone. It takes 3 ends. You've got to get your deuce when you're down 2. It takes 3 ends. You got to get your 2 here to get back to even. You've got to get the force, and then you got to get a deuce. Now you flip the last rock advantage, and it's asking for a lot to happen that in 3 consecutive ends. I mean, it can happen that way, but that's asking for a lot. So you don't want to. It's like you said, an 8-end game can end pretty quickly. You've got to get the first part of that done. Now, having said that, you can make it a lot shorter by scoring 3, and that does happen in the 5-rock free guard zone. Opportunities for 3 happen all the time.
Oh yeah, with those extra, or really just the one extra hammer guard in play, the one extra opportunity to get 1 guard up sometimes. It's not always that you throw 2 guards, but just having that longer period of time to keep your guard in play just generates so many more scoring opportunities.
Well, this is a good example of exactly what you just said. They've only thrown the 1 guard, but you can't peel it yet. This is the 5th stone of the end. So that buried stone, it's hard to really go after it. They're going to chase here, I think, by the looks of this. Boy, this is a tough chase, too, because that redstone is over-buried on the corner.
Yeah, looking to try to take this out of play, but if it comes up short, you're not really doing much. Ooh, and I got a little spin away. It might not even be. It's hard to tell.
No,
we can't really see what's happening on the still second.
The red is still second, yeah. They lost that a little bit.
And there's a good and aggressive call. And you were talking about that possibility. Now they have it, out of the free guard zone period, where you might be able to play that double and leave a corner guard there.
Yeah, you can get a little bit more protection on the side. I have to admit, that's a little more weight than I expected to be throwing at this. That's still not a bad result. That redstone is in a good spot for them. The shot stone is open now.
Not at all a bad result. Interesting that Team Tabata looking at maybe playing something on the little yellow-red action on the redstone that's buried back there in the corner.
Yeah,
which I guess they definitely have the ability to do. They don't have to play to steal here at all. They're up 2.
Tough to defend this situation though. You could throw the guard, but there's a short red run anytime they want to play it. That would be to sit 2. Play the shot through the port.
Yeah, the guard for now at least. Yeah.
You do not want to be tight on this. You should try to double them.
Will work its way.
You got to close the port, though.
Yeah,
boy, they could have put a couple of brush licks on that.
Really. I was watching that crawl over, and
that almost didn't close the port. I'm not sure.
I think they're playing something, whether they use their red or they're going right through that little port. They definitely are looking to, or are they looking to play the double?
I think
many
they're
options here.
Double, but boy, if that stops a couple of inches earlier, there's room to get through the port and roll behind the corner. They were pretty casual on the brush call there. I understand they didn't want it too tight, but
exactly.
You got to close the port.
Absolutely. With a nose double here. Removing both, leaving 2 very usable red rocks. Even if Tabata is to bury something here, we now have a lot of ways for Fujisawa to get at it. And we're pretty sure they're sitting second. They pointed at it before. Said they were second on the corner there. So now sitting shot. Might have something brewing here for the Fujisawa team.
Oh, no doubt. I would say it doesn't even matter how well she buries this because there's the wall over on the other side of the sheet. She can play the run back and roll it anywhere in behind the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be buried.
Supers don't seem to like this one. It's a little big.
No.
Heading back to the back 4. Does get under the guard.
Yeah, and that's not bad back there actually because it's made that run as long as you possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
They're eyeing up the port. I don't think the call there is the straight split. I think what she's looking at is Could we try to make the port? And if we don't make it, we split the guard.
Sure, nothing but good things happening if you don't ever make it, right? And it looks like now they're playing just the run.
They're going to play the run.
Yeah.
It's hard to get
Playing
anything
it
good
just
out
the
of the
slightest of
split.
angles. Yeah.
Hard to get anything good out of the split, because even if you're biting the rings, that stone in the 12-foot, the yellow stone in the 12-foot, I'm not sure how you ever remove it to get a biter back into play.
Yeah,
On the brush right away.
Yeah, you could hit it a little low, but not too low, and then it just went right by it. Yeah. So reopens it, but gives Tabata a chance to throw another guard.
Yeah, but
Maybe a little higher, maybe their own color.
Well, are you guarding a stone in the back 4-foot?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point.
I'm not, but it looks like they are.
Yeah. And you've still got angle runs at it all. You know, your net, you're always going to have that other red rock you can use. It's, surprised they didn't at least talk about other options here.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not an unguardable stone being back 4. Back 4 is, without hammer, okay, but it's not a great stone, and you're not in a great position where that rock is really threatening to steal until you don't need to, being up 2, so... And there's some danger here with red setting second shot. And in any case, they did throw the guard. There is a pretty good amount of space between them. Let's see how Fujisawa wants to deal with this.
There's no port there this time. You could look at it all day. It's not there. You might be able to get around on the in-turn side with enough to move that yellow back.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Yoshida's looking at is peel the yellow guard, try to come across the top of the red, and maybe push it into the rings. That's tough. It's there.
Sure.
More often than not, you're probably just going to straight peel the guard when you do that, and that's not horrible either.
Yeah, it looks like the front end's coming down to at least talk about the fact that you might be able to get around that guard and push, or you can just... looks like they seem to be settling on something where they play, with the possibility of tapping the red in, like getting rid of the yellow and playing that way.
The problem with that is it's when you're coming across the top like that, the chances of driving the red straight back aren't as good. It'll usually drag a bit. Well, if it comes onto that yellow in the 12-foot, you could actually tap it up for second.
Right. Yeah, and doing that would completely change the complexion of the end.
And it's so late.
All the threats that Fujisawa has are the fact that their second shot. Yeah.
I do think they're going to make the play on the guard, and with the broom where it is, similar to what they've been playing all along, I think this is the run through one more time.
All right, lining up for the run back one more time. On it again quick, but
it's close.
And they get it. Again, leaving another red rock up front. Again, that's fine. Sitting second, and a relatively short run's available for them if and probably when Tabata buries a rock here.
Yeah. This is a spot where you actually might want to put it back at the back of the 4-foot again, just to make the run back a little longer. You don't mind if you could convince Fujisawa to play a freeze.
Right.
You follow it down again, and that at least that rock on the side is out of play. You put this in the top of the 8-foot, Fujisawa makes the short run, sits 2 behind cover, and 3 is in play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, adding an extra 4-6 feet to the run just lowers the chance of sticking it so much here that, yeah, I think you are better off playing, slightly behind the tee line.
Well, and even if she
Lower
does,
back
if she plays the run back and sticks it, you could still at least come around and freeze to it.
Exactly.
If you were the back 4 foot now, I'm not sure she does play the run. Boy, that's tight by the guard. It's going to come out on the other side, and there might be a port.
Died real quick right on the button.
Yeah.
They are...
Not
you probably could fit something through. I mean, you definitely could fit something through
I think
there,
so.
but I think she's just playing the run.
I'm surprised because they kind of looked at that couple of previous shots, and it looks like the port's a little bigger now. That last hit, they were just a shade low, so there's a little bit more room there. I think you could fit through there now, and if you make the port, you're definitely rolling behind the corner.
Fujisawa opting to play the run instead. Also another way to sit 2 guarded if you can make this good. Super's on it right away as we come down. Oh, she calls them off. It does need to curl up a bit. Moves the yellow rock, does not stick it. Red sitting 1 again as we head into the final rocks of the end. Satsuki Fujisawa was vehemently calling off her sweeper there.
Yep. It needed to come up just a hair.
Yeah.
Well, this dramatically changes things for Tabata. She knows at the absolute worst it's going to be 2. You come to the back 4 foot, and Fujisawa probably has to draw for 1. If you're at the front, she's probably playing the run back for 2.
Yeah, you can go back, afford to go back as far as allows you to still be counting and force essentially, or dare them to play such a long run.
That came by the guard with a lot of room.
It's actually going back almost to the exact same spot as the last one. Is mostly buried, and
yeah, I think you can get to it with
I
the
think they're
intern.
playing. Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of room by the guard on that, and she only needs to move it, well, four full feet.
Yeah, 4 feet, and catch enough of it that you roll any less, and you get your deuce.
They would have liked to have been tighter by the guard, and this is probably not there.
Satsuki Fujisawa coming down, trying to make a little come around hit and stick for 2 to tie up the game here. Final rock of the 4th end.
They jumped a little bit out of her hand. This has got a curl. It's going to make contact.
And she's made it. Looks like a deuce based on what they're looking at. I wouldn't, not even a look, it looks like. Yep, that'll be 2 red. We've got a tie game here in Saville, everyone. 2-2, Fujisawa and Tabata. Tabata will have the hammer when we come back for the 5th end.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
All right, we're back in Saville. Let's take a look. Are they going to enjoy a fourth end break, I should say? These are 8 end games, of course, here. Not sure yet, but in any case, 2-2 after 4 ends between Fujisawa and Tabata. Shawn, you had some scoreboard updates that good news for Fujisawa here.
Not good news for Fujisawa. We know that Carrie Anderson, one of the teams that came in with a record of 2-1, she stole 4 in the third, 2 more in the fourth, and Caitlin Laws has shook hands. So Carrie Anderson at 3 wins. Now that means we've got 8 teams already confirmed at 3 wins. That eliminates all the teams at 1 and 2. Tabata, one of the teams at 2-1, still has a shot, and Michelle Hartwell, both on the ice tonight, both at 2-1, now in must-win situations just to try to get into that tiebreaker situation.
Well, we'll keep an eye on all those scores to see what's going on. Looks like the teams did take a quick break here. They may be just coming back to the ice to play now, though. I was about to say we'll go to commercial, but looks like they're heading right back onto the ice, maybe?
Well, that could at least could let us talk in a little bit more detail about all these possible scenarios, because we don't know how it's going to play out. There are a number of teams at 3 wins now. 8 teams already confirmed at 3 wins. 2 more that could end up there. For Carrie Anderson, for instance, having defeated Laws, she would be ahead of Laws for the chance to win that pool, but she lost to Mila Plett in her last game. Plett also came into this draw with a record of 3-0. She's on the ice as well. If she wins that game, she would win Pool C. We've got 2 teams at 3-0, a top Pool D right now. It's quite the logjam here, and there's the possibility you could end up with 10 teams at 3 wins or better. There's a few teams that could end up at 4 wins, and 3-1 might lose on a draw to the button tiebreaker and be out. You're on the way home. So that draw to the button, and it's cumulative draw to the button. They keep track of it after every draw and add them up at the end of the round robin for your tiebreaker spot. You can see why teams spend so much time practicing that now. It's almost like an extra win. In fact, I've heard teams refer to it that way. Here you're in a situation where, for Tabata, she needs the win now. It's a must-win game for her now, just to get into some kind of a tiebreaker at 3 wins.
Well, yeah, no, those the last shot draw, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's almost like a win or a half win, right? Like it becomes so important. I've been at a mixed doubles event last year where we missed out on the quarterfinals based on last shot draw, and it's tough when there's no tie breaks or anything, and it feels a bit tough, but it is what it is. The rules going in, and just tells you how important they are, especially how many points and how much money it can mean just making the playoffs as opposed to not, even though you had essentially the same on ice performance. But we're back underway here in the 5th in any case, and we've got Tabata with the hammer tied in 5. And they are still, as we said, very much in this thing, but definitely need a win to have a chance to advance.
And that center guard is, I think, touching the center line. Yellow didn't quite come up to it anyway, but I don't think she could have moved that stone. So.
No, I think you might be right. That it just had enough of the center line to be, covered under the no-tick rule. But now Fujisawa has 2 center guards to work with, which certainly wasn't what Tabata was going for there.
No.
They came up short on their come around and could set up to steal here in the early going.
Now that Yellowstone's in the no-tick zone as well. They just get by.
Yeah, rare that you see that the Hammer team has one on the center line that the non-Hammer team might accidentally tick coming around, but it was very close. Granted, if they just touch it, it probably stays on the center line there, but still. Yeah,
maybe because they were coming from the wide side of it for sure. But
yeah.
it having to sweep that hard to get it by, they took it well behind the tee line.
Yeah. So Tabata looking to follow down, does not necessarily want to get all the way down there, but wants to get to counting behind those rocks. And again, just a little short, not terribly positioned, except for the fact that they have hammer, and we're really clogging up the center here, Shawn.
We are, but this is the 5th stone of the end being delivered now, and Tabata will have the opportunity, if she chooses, try to clean up the middle, beginning with her next throw.
And if you're going to have hammer, you're going to have rocks on the center line. Having one right there above the tee line, right at the top of the 4, top 8 is not a bad spot to be in.
Yeah, the problem she's going to be in is if she tries to double peel the guards. I guess she's got room to drive the yellow back onto the center line side of the red one and get them spinning. To go over the top, it's coming into the yellow. That's probably more risk than she wants to take on, I would expect.
Yeah, I think you'd like to clear out the center and still have that rock to work with.
Yeah,
for sure. And Fujisawa bringing in a second one here to sit 2. Again, just a little deep, but they are counting 2. And that will send Tabata looking to peel these center guards and open things up.
Yeah, it looks like she is looking for about 3/4 on the yellow. So to hit the red one on the center line side, won't bring anything into the rings. Just move both guards. You might not get the yellow one out. This is going to over curl.
Just going to be a straight peel. It avoids touching the yellow in the house, but only removes 1. And Fujisawa, I presume they're going to just cover that yellow. I'm looking to set up a good angle here, just corner freeze it. That'd be, you can even come a little high, but Christmas tree those a little bit. Keep everything staggered. It's going to be real hard to clear things out in one rock at least.
Yeah, I'd be tempted here to just throw the straight guard.
I would too. I think you make this great. It's nice. It's just a much simpler shot, which is, pretty much just as effective if you throw a straight guard. Provided you leave a little distance between the guard and the rocks in the house at least. Looks like that's what they're switching to here anyway. Got to get it over here. You want to cover that yellow rock. At least enough that... Okay.
The gestures there were like she was looking at some kind of run back. I'm not seeing a run. And I don't think there's a port.
Yeah, I have to agree, Shawn. It did not look like there was a port at all. And while they were gesturing for the run backs, it was not clear to me what shot she was looking for. And it seems like there's enough conversation that there was a little bit of confusion down the other end, too, as to what exactly they're trying to accomplish here.
Well, she's setting up the out turn, so I got to think she's playing the guard near the center line. And
yeah.
Might be trying to drive it over the top of the yellow in the rings, back into the reds. Or she's playing the triple.
Straight on the reds, I think. Gets them all moving. Third red moves all the way out to the edge of the 8-foot. Leaves yellow sitting 1. Ooh, undercover.
Or she's playing the triple.
Straight on the reds, I think. Gets them all moving. Third red moves all the way out to the edge of the 8-foot. Leaves yellow sitting 1. Pretty clogged up there with the 2 reds there, but couldn't have made that any better if just
No, honestly, she's probably better off leaving that red at the back of the 8-foot too. That's always something that it could be used as a catcher, or something might get jammed onto it later. It's not hurting you for sure back there.
There is still a center line guard up. Fujisawa going to try to use it here, coming around, trying to wrap around everything. It's a little heavy though. Yeah, that's coming all the way back to the back 8. Leaves Tabata sitting 1 with hammer and throwing. I think you pointed out during the break when we were off the air, Shawn, that while the game's 2-2 and there have been good ends for both sides, you felt the Tabata rink has been playing a little bit better in this game so far, and I think that's showing again this end.
They have, yeah, I think so. And even this, it's a bit of a contrast. Like from what we've seen so far, I don't think we'd see Fujisawa try this shot. She just hasn't been willing to come around the around the center guards with last rock. For Tabata, she almost has to here though, really, because that red stone where it stopped at the back of the 8-foot, if you leave the chance for Fujisawa to come down to that, she'd actually be shot over the one at the top 4-foot. This is a tougher shot that she could always come around the wide in-turn and get to the 4-foot. The problem is she'd leave that freeze at the back. She can do 2 things here. She can get sit 2, but she can also take away that path to that back stone. This has got to stop though. Oh, that's pretty good right there.
Not a bad spot. And, with that center guard in play, no worries about double or anything like that.
Well, it's hard to go after it because she can't quite see all of it. She'd risk jamming it.
It plays straight into that jam on the back. Yeah, red. If you don't hit it just right, you'd have to hit it fairly thin.
Sitting 2, they're looking at the angle run back on the red. That's risky because there's a couple of reds at the back to jam onto. She could play the yellow guard straight back, try to double the 2 yellows. If she absolutely nuts it between the 2 yellows, it would be high enough up, it wouldn't be shot rock. They're going to play the...
Yeah, that was my first thought. I mean, it's not something that appetizing, but it is there, and it's as you said, you'd be shot at the end of it if you did nut it right in the crotch of those 2 yellows.
She's playing the red one back.
Higher reward here as you're throwing your own back, but higher risk for sure, as you said. He gets 1 out. The second one does jam. As you said, having those reds in the back was only ever going to work for yellow. And yellow sitting second shot, I believe. It's close, but I think they're still second. It is second, but wide open. All in all, got to be pretty happy with that shot for Fujisawa.
Yeah, the stone at the top of the 8-foot's got to be the one that's a problem for Tabata. I mean, she can get at the shot stone at the back, but if you do that this early, it gives Fujisawa too many chances to get out of trouble. We're going to play the run double, looks like. Yellow onto red, try to clip that one out of the back of the 8-foot on the way by. You could sit 2 out of this. You actually need to hit the guard just slightly off center too, so you can probably leave the button wide open as well.
Rock on its way. They're trying to
curling
hold it for the run here. Does get the top one off the top 8, which is certainly a good start. That was the danger rock, as you said. Yeah, you can bury one. You can bury one top 4, but there's always going to be the straight run backs here.
Yeah,
for Tabata.
I don't know what else you could do though. I mean, you could hit that yellow one and sit 3. The problem is then she comes around to the top of the house and it's a yellow. You got to run back with 3 reds at the back. You can't really do that.
Yeah, I think you're not reducing your risk of giving up 2 by hitting that one.
If this was her last shot,
yes,
she might think about it. I mean,
well, yeah.
you could still bury, because is she going to play the run back with her last rock? And I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not sure what this.
Yeah, in a 2-2 game, you may not just hit that rock. You know, Fujisawa was playing with the lead. They would on the last rock, of course, hit. But yeah, you're right. Would be an interesting decision if you got to the same position 2 rocks from now.
Well, and we might. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
This run back is likely going to be played, and we've seen a number of them so far. They make the run back, but it rolls out. It's not a gimme to stick it. This is a long ways out. Still on the corner guard.
Hang outside. We'll get off the guard. Yeah.
Well, I don't think she has to play the run back.
No, I think you can get these and stick around.
Boy, I would say that still looks like a lot of ice. Depends on the weight she's throwing, I guess.
Tabata, you can just get past the center guard. And
this has got a lot of room.
Yeah, this is a long way to go. Maybe you could try to play something the other way over the top, but no, they're really trying to push this to get to nose. Push the red back. And, you know, it did not move them very far, but enough that yellow is sitting 1. You're sitting 1 at the top of the forefoot. You've got backing if they try to come after your rock. Though,
yeah, very tough.
There's plenty of room.
Well, yes, but I don't know that there's enough room for her to get to the inside of it and pass it by the red so that she can roll under cover. And if she rolls away,
yeah, if you roll more than a foot, you're sitting 3rd, and that doesn't help you.
And then she could just play the same shot, come down to it, move it, and up for 2.
Yeah, so very delicate shot if you want to play that, because you have to push it through and just roll to a point where there's no double, and that while you're still counting the one on the right there, and that's on the left on the long view we're looking at. And yeah, very, very tricky.
Yeah, I think they're looking at the in-turn draw now, and I kind of like it. Even if you get right down to your own at the back of the forefoot, like you'd be shot back there, and how does she move? Like, I don't think she can move both of them to get 2.
Yeah, I don't think you have enough of yours. It's you have a pretty good chunk of your rock outside of the center guard, but I don't think enough that if you, as you're saying, if they can come right down to theirs, even it's yeah, I don't see how you actually get both of them moving out of the forefoot.
And you don't have to be all the way to the red. I mean, you could just bite the button at the top of the forefoot too, dead buried or almost dead buried. It's a pretty good spot. I mean, she can chisel the side of the yellow, but it's never going to be for more
There's
than
no
one.
way to sit 2 that way for yellow, yeah. final rock of the end away for Satsuki Fujisawa, playing without hammer here in the 5th end. Just trying to put a second counter in there with this draw. Needs to get full forefoot at the very least.
Boy, can't afford to rub off that Yellowstone. She could roll over and leave a double.
And just sneaks it by. Locks it on the back one. Yeah. Now the question is what Tabata's looking at here. Can I see enough of my yellow to make this double? I just don't know, because that red's going to squirt out pretty sideways, depending unless you really can get to the nose of your yellow. I mean,
well, she can get to the nose of the yellow, but I don't know that she can do it with enough weight to do what you're talking about.
I mean, you'd have to get to the nose with pretty good weight.
She can be a sliver high. Like, you want to dead jam the yellow onto the red that was just thrown to transfer as much weight into that red stone as you can. But still at that, I think it's got to curl after it's by the guard. It might be worth a pass, though. I mean, as long as you're close to the nose, you should get one.
Yeah, as long as you leave the yellow you're throwing back on that red, you're
might be there for 3. The problem is you got to move. That yellow's got to move onto the red, which has to move the one behind it, and then still roll off. You're not making this with backline weight. Like, you've got to have firm side of hack to bumper somewhere in that range just to have a chance to get this to roll far enough.
Well, regardless of what's exactly there, we know Momoha Tabata has a shot to score here. Will it be for 1, 2, or 3? We're about to find out. Here comes the final rock of the 5th end.
Quite an in-out release.
It's like they think it's big right off her hand.
She's trying to keep this close.
Center guard. Trying to keep it off the center guard. She touches it. Oh, no. Oh. Hard to miss it that way. Just touched the center guard, which redirected it just enough to thin the rock that was in the top 4. Leads to it.
Trying to keep it off the center guard.
Trying to keep it off the center guard. She touches it. Oh, no. Oh. Hard to miss it that way. Just touched the center guard, which redirected it just enough. Fujisawa. Tabata will have the hammer coming back for the 6th end after this.
What do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
All right, we're back at the Saville. Is it the Saville Sports Center? Is that where we are, Shawn?
Saville, I thought it was the community center, but it could be the Saville Sports
Community
Center.
Center,
Actually, now I
probably.
gotta look it up. You're gonna make me look it up.
I might have thought it because it's on the back of it. It's on the board behind the scoreboard. But in any case, we have a 4-2 game. Team Fujis.
It's both.
It's
the Saville Community Sports Center. I'm not, according to what I've got on the notes here.
Well, now we've all learned something today. It's 4-2 Team Fujisawa. They just had a steal of 2 in the 5th end to take the lead. Team Tabata will maintain hammer here in the 6th. Man, that last throw just didn't look like a great throw, but still just an unfortunate miss. Like if you were trying to do that just for fun, you couldn't make that happen.
Yeah.
The redirect off the center guard and just catch yours so thin that it pushes it through without making contact with the red rocks back there.
Well, she does have the hammer here in the 6th. She's got her work cut out for her now. By this point, I'm sure they've noticed. Again, we talked about this in the men's draw last time. Everybody will tell you when it comes down to scoreboard watching, they'll all tell you, no, we don't look at the scoreboard. All of these teams knew where they were before the draw started, and I guarantee you every one of them checks the scoreboard as much as they say they don't. And I'm sure they've had time now to notice that Carrie Anderson won her game now, so you have to have 3 wins to make the playoffs. Tabata still has a chance to do that. She needs to pick up the win here. And so they know what's ahead of them. They still have a chance. They do have the hammer here in 6. We talked about this a couple of ends ago. It was the other way around. It was Fujisawa. We were talking about how it takes really 3 ends to flip the hammer. She needs to get her deuce, get the force, and then she can take 2 coming home. She's won this game and put herself into a position where she could still make the playoffs.
Yeah, and we don't have access to that information as far as the last shot draw, so we don't know who has the advantage or disadvantage there, but we do know that, at this point, minimum of 301 record to get in. And that means Tabata with some work to do here.
There are going to be a handful of teams on the women's side with 4-0 records. Only one such team, I think, as it ended up on the men's side. I can't remember now. Nope, 2. Mayetta and Kevin Cooey ended up 4-0 on the men's side.
Ah, that's right, yeah. We watched the Mayetta team get that 4th victory over Team Dropkin this afternoon. Fujisawa coming through here gets picks out the rock that Tabata tried to put behind the corner guard. Leave themselves sitting 2.
That was the 5th stone of the end. She does have the option now to make a play on the center guard.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see in the 6th end down to
I didn't mind her.
She wants to be in it.
I didn't mind her call to play the hit and roll to the corner guard. The important thing about that is you're not playing the double, you're not playing the peel, you're just playing the hit and roll. You cannot roll out if you play that shot. They're going to elect to come around the corner again.
Yeah, I think you have to play something here that results in you playing a rock to the corner. But yeah, the playing like a soft hit on the top red would work as well. Doesn't mean you have to be in the rings even, but the idea of in the corner they hard to say because buried way back there, but does look fully buried. Yep. 3rd shot for now, but plenty of time to deal with what's sitting in the center here.
Fujisawa was taking a long time to call the peel on the corner guard.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering up 2 in the 6th, what else you would call here. Even if you're not a team that likes to get ultra defensive, with a few ends left, you've got your center set up. You got plenty.
Yeah.
You can still have a center set up even after you use a rock to get rid of the corner guard, which they do here.
Yamamoto looking
just calling the withdraw here. Yeah.
just coming around here. It's not critical to be shot rock, but I think you want to be second. I don't think you want to corner freeze that top one.
That's what they're getting. I think they were a little late of what they were looking for, but and yeah, I don't think you want to be sitting third, fourth here at this point either.
Yeah, just because of how
Making the
late
best
we
out
are
of
in the
maybe a
end.
shot that was late, but yeah, we're down to 4 rocks each. Yeah, Fujisawa keeps making good shots here. You may never get an opportunity to bring those rocks back into play that are third and fourth.
Well, there's an argument to be made to hit the open one right now too. That's not
sure.
a play, but
They look like they're deciding between which draw they want to play, more than even considering the hit.
Tabata almost has to play the yellow red to kill that red on the next one. She can't really leave that overlap situation. So you could have hit the back one now. She plays that, and she's almost got to leave you double.
Rock seems like it's hanging out a bit. It may be a little heavy. It may be the issue more than anything.
Well, they were sweeping for curl, but I've never seen anybody make a rock slow down by sweeping it, so that actually brings it deeper as well. Can she get to the inside of that?
I absolutely think she can. I mean, there may even be a paper between them, but at worst, they're edge to edge. The red rock just thrown on the yellow in the top 12. I think you can get there. You don't have to throw any real weight at it. You're going to need a lot of backing to use.
You don't need to kill them. You'd like to get them out of the 8-foot. I mean, you could sit shot third and fourth here with that angle freeze. Now that angle freeze at the top starts to look really dangerous because there's a way to get rid of the red. With that ice, I think she's just looking at the draw, maybe a slight tap, sit in the pocket. Not bad. I mean, it's not a horrible call. Actually, if you could get just to the broom side of that red that was just thrown, move it back and sit in front of the other one. Pretty good shot, too. Line's really good at the question of the weight.
Yeah, it's going to be light. We're not going to move the rocks out of the 8-foot, but yellow now counting one. And there is quite a bit of red backing, but with all those rocks there, it looks like Fujisawa considering just coming down here and trying to close down the scoring area.
Yeah, I think she has to. It's the yellows around the 12-foot that if she plays anything with any kind of weight here, she's going to lose a red one. And get late enough at the end, I don't know that she can afford to do that because she could leave a double. No. You make any kind of a freeze here, you shrink the scoring area. She doesn't want to give up 2, but I mean, if she absolutely has to give up 2, she's still got the hammer in a tie game.
Yeah, hammer tied in 7. We can talk about the even ends all you want. Hammer tied in 7 is an excellent position to be in too, and don't want to risk giving up a big end here. I agree. Got to make sure those yellow rocks around the perimeter never get back into play here.
Yeah, you're still in line for the force if you don't leave any, really ugly angles here.
Coming back down to talk about it.
Yeah. Yoshida seeing something else from the hack. I think what they're probably worried about is if you get just across the nose on the yellow but stay mostly exposed, can she play red-yellow into the pocket of the 2 reds? Would she kill both of them?
Yeah, you throw it with some weight. I mean,
yeah,
you probably at least get rid of 2 of the reds if that's like half cut. If you're only half on the yellow.
And if 3 reds could fly, that's
And if that happens, then then
that's
suddenly
that's
people
ugly.
really change the end.
Both brushers down. She has to get by the one at the top of the house.
Just does. Kicks the yellow back, into the pocket on the reds. Red sitting one. Probably that shot we were worried about for them, and that's not there now. But all the yellows are they're starting to get hard to get rid of, and they're in pretty decent positions. Really, the one yellow that's relevant, which is on the 4-foot.
Do you ever run the guard now?
I mean, Tabata has 3 shots left. I don't see a way you're removing all 4 reds and bringing your.
Oh, I do.
Yellow rocks.
I do.
I mean, I see ways, but
that's why I'm saying. Do you ever move the guard now? If you run the guard across the top of that yellow and the 12-foot, you kill the guard, kill the red at the top of the 8-foot, and you roll your shooter off. I mean, those are 3 reds that are sitting there. If you had access to them, there's a triple on the 3 reds.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense then. Yeah. We.
They didn't look at it,
but
I'm surprised they're not playing that. You play the red guard across the face of the yellow. Your shooter's going to roll out of the way anyway, no matter what weight you choose to play at it. Another one that needs to get by, and it's just not going to.
Leaving yellow sitting 6, 7, and 8, and second, of course. But Fujisawa at least see Ishida there, kind of has her broom down. Not sure if they're just discussing, or she put her broom down to say we can just guard. I think you probably could do that. There might be better plays. You can look to play something. Anything soft you play on your red, though, there's the risk of leaving a double.
Yeah.
And suddenly yellow. I mean, because that yellow rock is never going anywhere. So if they make a double and are sitting, even first, third, you're putting a big end back into play.
Yeah, and I don't think you want to play it here. They are going to call timeout, have the coach come out and talk about it. I don't mind the guard right here. If you don't throw, Tabata's next shot is to go after that red shot rock again. So why not take that away? Now, if this was your last shot, that's a different story, because then she comes after that red one. She's never getting more than 1. So if this was your last shot, you might look at playing the tap on the red stone, try to sit 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you play it here.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Make them make something, find something to create anything more than 1 in this end.
Yeah, when she's got 2 shots
don't
left,
do the work for them.
Take away the shot.
Don't do the work.
Take away the shot she wants to play.
Usually can't go wrong taking away the shot the other team wants to play.
Yeah.
As I discussed here, Fujisawa up 4-2 here in the 6th, and considering what to do here without hammer as we head into skip rocks. Satsuki Fujisawa going to have to throw her first after this discussion.
Yeah, they're looking at the tap now. I don't love this.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think the logic you presented is sound. You can guard once and then look on your last rock when there's no longer enough time for Tabata to set up a larger end, when she's going to be playing for one, likely no matter what. Make her find something with her first rock to...
Yeah, you could make a really good shot here, and it works out great. It's just...
Sure.
I'm a big believer in the, easy me, hard you. You got a chance to play the easy shot here and leave a hard one for your opposition, and this is probably still going to be there on your last one. I mean, if you make the guard, I guess it's possible that Tabata just hits this red one for now, but still, how is she ever getting more than one if she does that?
Yeah.
If you open up this out-turn side, you might leave Tabata a shot to get in and have a chance for two yet.
Sure. Yeah, you could get a skip's deuce if this opens up a bit. And she buries one nicely on her first rock.
She might be able to come off.
Regardless, though, Fujisawa's first rock away, playing the tap. She's got a bit of room to move, although we are sweeping into the curl. It seems to be effective here. Wow. And I don't think you can see enough of the red rock to directly make any play. Is there like a red-yellow into the reds to...
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not an easy shot, but it's there.
No.
You probably have to play it to make sure you got a shot on your last one.
Exactly.
If you make it and stick it, you could be sitting two after this.
That's what I was thinking. You hit it just in the right spot. You don't have a lot of room for error on the yellow you're running in there, but hit it just perfect. You'll be 1-2, and even if you're a little off, you'll be 1-3.
Well, and yeah, there's no way for her to remove that yellow at the back. I mean, she can get up to the face of it, and it'd be tough to remove the red, but. This is close. Needs to come up a little.
Oh, just didn't quite get the angle. Yeah, needed to curl a little bit more. Leaves red sitting 1-2. Does clear out the center line, so maybe she'll be able to have something on the last rock, but we'll see what Fujisawa has to say about that, what she can do to lock down this scoring area. And it may be as simple as guarding those two and making them draw against it, but we'll see if they play something else. Looks like they're leaning towards the guard, if nothing else.
I think you have to. You know, the nice thing for Fujisawa is the only rocks that Tabata might be able to come off of or run in are all on the other side of the sheet. They're all going to come onto that yellow stone at the back of the forefoot. So there's never going to be anything for more than one coming off that other side.
Right.
The nose hit double is there for two right now. I think you have to take that away.
Sure, you take that away and you leave the... You're really just leaving the... It's probably an out-turn draw for one.
Probably. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could get this tight enough to make that hard. I mean, you could bite the top of the 8-foot here, just touch the center line. What does she have? Like, because of the because of where that corner guard is, that would be a reverse stagger. It would be a tough draw. It's probably still there, but really tough.
Yeah, it's why I coached it, and probably because it is not a comfortable draw. That path is it's tight to the button.
Corner guard's kind of in the way. Yep.
Yeah. If it wasn't there, you could run, but I mean that's a heck of a run for one, and never any more than one that you'd have to throw in with your corner guard if that was your other option.
Well, and she might. I mean,
it might be. Yeah. If she doesn't like the draw path, that's the shot. And even if you have the draw path, it's not an easy draw. Last rock without hammer coming in for Satsuki Fujisawa here in the 6th end. Just looking to guard, take away this double. This rock's got to move, though.
Yeah, if she's high, this might not get there.
And I'd like to see the... Well...
It's
right on the border of whether you can make it, but you got to go for it, right?
Oh, I think it's there for sure. Yeah. That guard's just too
coming
high.
out of the, yeah.
She's got 6 feet more weight. They could put that guard wherever they wanted to, but
absolutely,
it's so high.
Yeah, it's hard on the long view. That it looked a little tighter, and I look at the overhead, and I'm saying, yeah, there's so much room there. The shot's got to be there, and you do not have to throw a ton of weight. You got to throw enough to move both, but you just got to get them out of the forefoot.
She actually, I mean, she's going to because of the weight she's going to throw, but she actually, I don't even know that she needs to curl after she gets by the guard. Like if she can hit what she can see, I think that's enough.
Yeah, you probably just touch that red rock, right, the back one, and that's enough. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
A lot of discussion here, but even if you think this is a tough shot, unless you thought it was impossible, and I think we both think that's obviously not the case here, you got to go for it because the shot for one is so hard anyway.
Yeah, true. Of course, we don't have the mics that we can hear on them, and even if we did, I don't speak that language, so I wouldn't understand them, but I have to think all the discussion here was about, okay, how much weight do we want to throw at this to make the double? Because they don't have to kill them, but they do have to get them out of the forefoot. And then, you know, if you decided you're just throwing back line, which you maybe could make this shot with just back line, I'd like to see a little bit more, but now where do we need to put the broom to get the finish? You really, I don't think, have to be that tight to the guard because with this quiet weight, there will be some finish.
Well, we've seen that all day on these games. That if you're playing a quiet enough weight, you'll get a lot of late finish on these rocks. It's not until you get into the higher weights that you don't see that. So yeah, you don't have to skinny this guard. You can play it up pretty safe past the guard, get that finish here to get your deuce.
You don't even have to have all of hack weight here. Like just through the house weight is probably enough.
No.
If you get to the line.
Momoha Tabata with a chance for a double for 2 to tie this game. Just got to get it by the guard. They do. Now get it over. Move both rocks. And
they overcurled.
A little spin back. I think it may be just for one. They're looking at it even for the one. It's certainly not for 2.
Yeah, they swept from the offside to get extra curl there. I didn't think they needed to.
They didn't need it. Yeah. I think it's 1 yellow, but I mean, who knows when we're looking at the overhead here as we get a replay.
We got the replay was a little late.
The replay of the...
You saw them switch at the guard to go for extra curl, and they really didn't need to because you still had to hit that slightly off nose with that quiet weight to make sure the second one spun over the top. It's going to be a measurement, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the temptation when you know you have to get somewhat by a guard, I think, is to play that we're by the guard, let's push it. And in that case, they got by tighter than they needed to. They really needed to hold the rock there.
Yeah, the nose hit was always going to make contact with 2, but you weren't really throwing enough weight to make the nose hit double.
Right.
You had to be a little off nose to make sure the second one spilled far enough.
And hopefully they'll indicate who scored here for us.
It's always nice when they point.
And
they tapped the yellow.
Yeah, tapped the yellow, except it looked like, and my eyes aren't that good, it looked like it almost missed or did miss the red rock on the way by. I might have just barely grazed it. So if we're correct, that's a score of 1 for Tabata. It'll make it 4-3. Fujisawa up 1 with the hammer, we believe, heading into the 7th end.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Welcome back to Saville for the 7th end of this final round robin draw. We have Team Fujisawa up 1 with hammer in the 7th end. Coming down here up 1 over Team Tabata. I'm Ed Scimia here with Shawn Joyce. And Shawn, maybe you can remind the viewers or anyone tuning in late, what's at stake here for, well, at least one of these teams with 2 ends left to play?
Yeah, well, with one early result here, we know that Carrie Anderson won her game, so there's already 8 teams at 3 wins. So 2-2 is not going to make the playoffs. Tabata comes in with a record of 2-1. She's still got a chance through some kind of tiebreaker situation to make it into the playoffs, but she has to win here. This is a must-win game. Interesting setup here as we start this end. They got the guard up to start, but it wasn't on the center line. The tick attempt pushed it in, and here's the call to guard the opposition's guard, and it's come up short. It's a hogged rock.
Oh, yeah, that's well, unfortunate that was hogged, of course, but that's something we've been seeing with the no tick rule. That
this is not the way I'm hitting this. Yeah, I'm hitting the red one, but I'm hitting it towards that yellow one in the rings.
Yeah.
Well, her first indication was to just peel it out to hit it with the out turn. I like coming at it with the in. If you hit it thin enough, this could be a blank end right here.
Absolutely. There's not much.
You can do that with the out turn too. Yeah, you can do that with the out turn too, but it's a little trickier. You're hitting the first one very thin if you're going to have the shooter come and take the yellow out.
You got to hit it at all because this has got room to go, and it's going to go straight by. Yeah.
It's an easier slash double than it is to make it that way.
Sure.
Tabata will throw the long guard again, but now this is the 5th stone at the end, so they could peel anyway now.
Yeah, you will you keep them separated, you probably avoid a double peel, but yeah, you don't get that extra rock of time where the guards just get to stay there.
Well, had you made the guard on the last one, she probably has to just hit the stone in the rings, and then you have a chance to come around. If you hog two in the same end,
a second hog,
another chance to play. And again, this is not the easiest way to make this shot. They must have a strong preference for their out turn, because this is a much easier shot from the in turn.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I have a preference for my out turn, but I'm left-handed, so it'd be perfect for me. But yeah, much easier to make it the other way. And I think it's closer on this one, though, even if they just make peel. Okay. Well, Tabata going to be throwing some center guards for a while anyway, just hoping to get something set up here. Maybe, maybe a half miss on an attempted peel, or something that leaves a guard around they can use. At some point, they may split late. If they absolutely have no chance to steal, you might see them split and try to force, but that'll be a while off still. I imagine you got to run at these and try to get rid of both. And they're still coming from the. They're still coming from the outturn side.
If they weren't going to play the intern at their own rock, you know they're not going to do it at the opposition stone.
Yeah. I just thought maybe now it's such an extreme angle, maybe they would, but yeah, I guess it's just a preference. I get the straight peel the other way.
Had a discussion. It looks like Tabata and Nihira discussed this and have decided to guard the stone in the rings.
Okay. I mean, I don't think there's a problem with that. Maybe teams might wait a rock or two to do that, but
yeah, she doesn't want to give it the blanket. Of course, this changes the position of the peel too. If they ever,
sure,
happen to hit 3/4 and roll back to the center line, you got something to work with.
Absolutely.
This is a long ways from covering that stone in the rings right now, though. It looked like a big set on the release.
We can't possibly hog another one, can we?
Oh, sure we can.
We could. There's no rule against it. Yeah, you won't see that every day at this level of play with 3 hogs in the same end.
You won't see that very often in a club game.
No.
But in a club game, there's different reasons. You don't do it in a club game because every time you do it, you have to buy a round. So that gets expensive. It's hard on everybody's liver to hog 3 rocks in the same end.
Just will get enough to peel that out of there. And Fujisawa looking really good for a blank here to come home with hammer up 1.
Looking to put these guards in different positions now, and again, you don't expect a team to hit one dead on the nose anyway, so they try to move the position around and hope you can get a 3/4 hit and maybe stays in place somewhere. Sure. Even it's at the edge of the 12 foot. If you can get around it with your last one, that might be enough to get the force.
And I think right now in particular, moving these rocks around is a great idea, because clearly there's and they make the peel there without too much issue. Clearly, the ice conditions are changing. I mean, we joke about the three. There's a reason there were three hogs. I mean, there's got to be something going on here with the ice slowing down on them, and who knows if that means there's some other changes too.
I would be tempted here. Like, they're still trying to guard the edge of the 4-foot. Like, I'd be tempted to throw that broom with the out turn and get it
just
over
put something out towards the edge of the 8 to the 12 foot and just say, hey.
Because I mean, there are stats that show that anytime you get the broom outside the edge of the 8 foot, percentages go down, and that includes the top players in the world. So if you guard the edge of the 12, full 12, and make them go throw the peel out there, which is a shot they hardly ever throw, maybe you get a nose hit. And again, you're just drawing around the stone in the 12-foot then, but that's enough to get the force, which would leave you 2 down with coming home. Not a bad situation. Now, 1 down without, it means you've got to steal 2 points, whether you steal them both at the same time or have to steal back-to-back singles. Either way, that's difficult. Stealing 1, it happens lots. With the free guard zone and the no-tick zone, we've talked about it before. Your odds are as close to 50-50 as they've ever been. But, we're not talking about just doing it once here. She's going to have to do it twice.
Yeah. Another rock cleared. We're down to the last rocks of the end.
And again, I'd be throwing this out into the edge of the 12-foot, and she's...
Oh, for sure. Now I think, there's no reason not to.
And she's indicating she's drawing to the edge of the 4. You're asking a lot for a miss in a well-known path.
Right. Yeah, it surprises me on the last rock that you wouldn't pull it out wide here. Even if before now you were just hoping maybe we get lucky, get to play a little closer to the center of the ice. You're leaving open hit no matter what, leave it in the most difficult place possible. Momoha Tabata putting her last rock on the rings here. Gonna make Fujisawa peel it out to get what'll be a critical blank.
Does look like she talked her into playing an intern anyway. And they did seem to have the preference for the other turn, so... The downside to that is there's lots of teams, lots of players that have a preference for turn. It's not that they can't throw the other turn. They, in most cases, throw it perfectly well.
Right. Yeah, everyone will have their preferences, though, and when it's a situation like this where, you have the option, that'll show. Final rock at the end coming in from Satsuki Fujisawa, just looking to blank this. Sweeper is on it to hold. It will get out of there. That'll be a blank. Fujisawa will maintain her 1-point lead as we go to the 8th and final end after this short break.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread.
And we're back here for the 8th and maybe final end. Fujisawa up 1 on Tabata with hammer though in the 8th, so significant advantage here for Team Fujisawa. Team Tabata needs to win to keep their playoff hopes alive here.
And interesting, the Tabata team threw the long guard first this time. Get that out of the way so we don't have to risk hogging 3 rocks this end. They get to play the tight guard now.
Yes. Yeah, they have their high guard. They can come around with a 3 guard and, go all out for their steal here. And critically got that guard on the center line.
Yeah.
Excuse me, on the center line. So no chance for Fujisawa to play a tick.
Yeah, because they didn't do that last time, and Fujisawa played the tick, pushed it into the rings.
Is this going to sail into the... Nope, coming up. Okay. Checking up there. They get their
touch
3
the
guard.
line,
That
though.
one not touching the center line.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think the tick
I
is
don't think so either.
available on that shot. Yep.
Yeah, you got a good 1/4 inch there.
They don't get to play this shot as much anymore, but had the opportunity to play the tick last and made it. Has another opportunity here. This looks like a lot of weight, though.
And looks like because of that, it's hanging out. And we'll just make contact with their own rock back there, leaving both of Tabata's guards up and in play, and now they can come around and try to set up their steal. Now that red rock out there is a little dangerous. It's definitely positioned where it can be used to run in if necessary, and I doubt Tabata's going to have opportunity to ever get rid of it unless things go extremely well for them. So,
yeah, no, she won't.
Yeah. Right to the top of the button.
It's a pretty nice shot. Talking about the double peel, the risk here, if you don't make contact with the second one, because it's the better guard, they'll try to line them up, and you might not get another chance at the double peel.
Yeah. Looks close though. She did get both. Not quite getting all 3, but still a very nice double peel there. Reopens the scoring rock right now on the top of the button. And Tabata will have nothing else to do but try to guard it for now. We'll see a replay of this shot here. Get this tight enough you can't just go around it. Not so tight there's an easy run. That's pretty good. And we're gonna see some peels here for the next couple.
Yeah, we definitely were gonna see some peels. I was just wondering if we'd see her play the out turn, and I wonder if that's what they're discussing. You play the out turn over the top of that red in the 8-foot, you might get all three of them, and then the game's pretty much over.
Yeah, you're leaving them with just the ability to maybe draw a bit of the 4-foot and leave you a pretty open draw for the win at worst if you get everything out of here.
Looks like she's content to just play the in-turn peel. She's always got that angle slash on the red with her last one too. So as long as you know you've got that, there's a chance that maybe Tabata can't just guard right to her last one because that angle.
Well, that was my thought that red rock is more a resource, that you leave it there and just use it if you need to later in the end.
Certainly they'll be throwing guards for the time being anyway.
Yeah, both teams are going to be...
Yeah, the next few shots, what everybody's going to play. Tabata's going to throw up the guards.
Yeah.
Probably 3 more. Anyway.
Both. The word I was looking for is content.
Yeah.
Not necessarily happy, but content with the status quo because anything else is really...
The question will be...
here.
What does Tabata throw with her? And if they just exchange shots for the rest of this end, what does Tabata throw with her last one?
Yeah,
because that angle red is pretty easy.
Are you just throwing out? You're just throwing right to your yellow and trying to maybe get a little bit to the. I mean, you'd almost have to just dead nose it and make her make the.
This is interesting. They're looking at maybe coming at shot rock. If I'm Tabata, I'm happy to have teased her to come after shot rock.
Absolutely.
Because if you come around those two again, you're not going to be as good. But if you come tight around the yellow and actually get a good piece underneath the red, that red is kind of overlapped now. The angle run might not be there. So they're going to have a chat with the coach, talk about this. I think I still like the peel because you've always got a way to get rid of that shot rock.
I feel the same way. You're always going to have two ways to attack that yellow rock, either directly or using your red there in the top 8. They can't take everything away from you. Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting question, as you said. If they do keep just peeling and replacing until Tabata's last rock.
Well, and even then, what does she do? Like.
Right, you
shy of.
Do you play something soft off the red so that you take that away and maybe make her make a double?
Maybe
but the double's going to be pretty short,
Sit 2, you're talking about then? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it might be the best you have.
Might be. You could corner freeze the red. That's a really tough
corner
shot.
Freeze the red is something I was looking at too. Maybe you overlap your yellow just a little bit so that you make that. Maybe she touches the yellow on the way by and you steal that way.
I'm really surprised they didn't try the yellow on the last one. The angle's not as good this time. I don't think you ever did on this one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because if you get rid of everything, then the end is close to over.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're going to have a very simple shot on your last one to win.
part of this discussion, I think, has to be, and again, we can't hear them, but if you just peel out the guards, what does Tabata do with her last one? And really, if you're not worried that she's going to be able to leave you a difficult shot, then I think you're peeling the guard for sure. Looks like that's what they've decided. There did look like there was a little bit of a discussion just because of the angle. And, you know, as we've seen so far in this game, Shinami Yoshida can throw the big weight pretty well. If you hit this close to the nose, you might be able to drive it across the face of the yellow in the rings, get the double. You don't have to roll very far off the center line before it's not much of a guard anymore. Yeah, they just swept that like they were playing straight deal all the way.
Yep. Now we can already start to try things. We don't have to wait till our last rock to to do something as Tabata. We were saying if they keep just exchanging rocks, and they're starting to look at their options here.
I don't think you're doing it now. It's just too many rocks for her to clean things up.
This is one rock, at least one rock too early, right? Maybe on your first. But yeah, okay. So they're looking at putting the guard back again, and again tempting them just with the edge of the. Just give them a little bit of that yellow rock in the house.
Yeah, well, and just overwrought that red a little bit. So if they do pick the shot rock out, when you come around again, you could at least force her to have to draw cold with their last one. Now,
absolutely,
a lot of rocks to come yet. May not come to that, but I don't think they want to leave her that short run on the red. Can tell you while we wait for the shot that the other 2-1 team, Michelle Hartwell, has lost her game as well. So it's just Tabata left that could end up making a tie situation at 3 wins. If she loses, we know who our 8 playoff teams are. This is not going to get the same angle. It's going to overcurl a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, it's effective enough that they're just going to peel, but it is doesn't leave that little temptation there.
Yeah, the angle's still there. I'm a little surprised they're not at least looking at playing it from the out turn. If you peel it over the top, fine, but if you clip that red at all on the way by with the out turn, it's going right onto the yellow.
I suppose there is the danger, you run it. You just nut it on your red or something. But you got to assume
that thick. I don't know that you're rolling out either.
Yeah.
You're not wrong to just throw one more guard either, but
no, you can absolutely throw one more guard here.
Yeah, and that looks like that's what they're going to play. They probably already discussed this as well during the Fujisawa timeout. Like, what's our last shot? What's our move when we have to go? And you're right. It could be the hit on the stone in the 8-foot because it's tough to leave that short run. They've got the corner freeze, tough shot. They could try to freeze their own stone, also a tough shot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, one of the 2 freezes, maybe the
well, and they could split the yellows.
Objectively best shot. But,
they could split the yellows. That's the other thing. Push the yellow behind the red stone and then roll the shooter over behind the other corner. Again, tough shot. Like,
they were looking at that when they were kind of playing around with the idea of throwing something on the vices last.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I'm not positive they were actually looking at playing it, or is that the kind of thing where you have that conversation?
Talking about it.
Well, you're making the other team think you're looking at that.
Could be, yeah.
And so maybe they play something other than the peel earlier.
Right.
I'm not sure how you're not peeling that guard. Unless you want it. Well, she's going to make a play at the shot at the rock in the rings.
Interesting. I suppose as long as you're not wide, you're getting something out of this. And then,
well, the draw to get back in there is real tough. Like, that guard overcurled a little bit, so that port is really small with that stagger.
So they make this. If they roll out or roll pretty far out, you can, if that draw's not there or the draw's not there easily, you can, suppose, hit and roll behind you the center guard, but you'll be leaving the whole 4 foot open.
You'll be leaving most of the 8 foot open. I'm not sure you'll be
Probably
full
most
8.
of the 8. Yeah. Satsuki Fujisawa's first rock here, just trying to remove the shooter on top of the button. Will roll away. And now the question is, what do we have on our last rock for Team Tabata? And if that red guard was not up there, you would think definitely, and then he could go around the other way, right? That's what they're looking at. Throw the other draw, try to overbury the red rock, maybe get the back 4 overburied. Draws aren't super simple.
Yeah, and that's another reason why they didn't want that yellow guard so directly in front of the shot stone, because when she picked it out, now that draw through the port because of the stagger is really tough. You move that guard back over to where they had the last couple, 3 or 4 more inches off that center line. There's a better chance to be able to get around there. Plus, even if you make it now, that redstone's wide open for the short run.
Right, you have left that run that we've been talking about since early in the end. It's still there, and yeah. That's why I was wondering about, as much as you're leaving them a pretty, makeable draw, if that's not, or I guess you could even draw to a piece of the 4 foot around the other one.
Yeah, I almost think you have to draw around the long red guard as much as.
Yeah.
And the reason being is you have to make your shot for her to even throw. And I'm not sure that the shot that they're playing is even possible.
Right. I agree. I think, you could try over rotating it a bit, but then you're really getting into, do you throw that normally? Yeah.
Well, and if you make this perfect in this spot, it's still going to be a short angle red raise. I'd be tempted to come around. As much as it's a longer guard, you change the shot. It's a different shot that she's played all end. And if you dead bury it, the shot still has to be made.
Yeah, if you dead bury it, I'm sure she'd be drawing. But in any case, Momoha Tabata looking to draw in here to force Fujisawa to make her last shot. They need to get off this guard. It does not look like it's getting off this guard. And that will be the game. Fujisawa takes 1 here in the 8th without throwing her final rock. And Satsuki Fujisawa gets the 5-3 victory. Neither of these teams will end up making the playoffs, both finishing at 2-2.
Yeah, so we know our 8 playoff teams, although I'm not going to run through all of them right now.
No, we don't need to do that. That'll all be up for you on Curling Zone before too long, or you can just see who has 3 wins or more up there. That'll tell you real quick who's in the playoffs. So, well, it was a fun night of curling. End of the round robin. The playoffs will start tomorrow in both men's and women's play. For Shawn, Joyce, I'm Ed Scimia. Thank you for joining us on Curling Stadium for the Saville Grand Prix.